The smell of cinnamon and apples fills the kitchen as I slide my oven mitt under the golden brown pie. Aunt Marlene's recipe. 3 cups of thinly sliced Granny Smiths, a quarter cup more sugar than most people use, and a pinch of nutmeg that makes all the difference. The familiar scent should comfort me, but today it only sharpens the ache in my chest. My hands tremble as I set the hot pie on the windowsill to cool. The morning sun catches on the official letterhead in my other hand. 12 years of education, 5 years of climbing the corporate ladder, and it all ends with regret to inform you, and company-wide restructuring. I've invited Caleb Reynolds for dinner tonight. My mother's voice slices through the quiet kitchen. I hadn't heard her come in. Gloria Taylor stands in the doorway, perfectly pressed slacks and a powder blue blouse that matches her eyes. Her silver-streaked hair is swept into the same neat bun she's worn since I was a child. Caleb Reynolds? I fold the termination letter and slip it into my pocket. Why? Mallory appears behind Mom, their matched expressions making my stomach tighten. My sister leans against the doorframe, arms crossed over her designer blazer. Because you're 31, unemployed, and living at home? Mallory says, her voice dripping with false concern. He's a good catch, Claire. Stable job at the bank, his own house. You can't afford to be picky anymore. Mom moves to the kitchen table, pulls out a chair. Sit down, Claire. I remain standing. Your situation has become untenable, Mom continues, smoothing an invisible wrinkle from the tablecloth. We've discussed it as a family, and we believe marriage is your best option now. The floor seems to tilt beneath my feet. Marriage? To Caleb Reynolds? Mom, I barely know him. You went to high school together, she counters. 12 years ago. Mallory sighs dramatically. You're 31, Claire, still living at home with no prospects. What exactly is your plan? My gaze drifts to the small framed photo on the counter, Aunt Marlene and me at my college graduation, her arm around my waist, her smile so proud it almost hurt to look at, the only person who ever truly saw me. I had a plan, I whisper. I had a career in Atlanta, a promotion, my own apartment. And you gave it up, Mom says, her tone sharpening. Nobody forced you to come back here. The memory flashes vivid and raw, my phone ringing at 11:42 p.m. Mom's voice, shaky for once. Marlene's had a stroke. It's bad, Claire. The next morning, asking my boss for a temporary leave of absence. Temporary becoming permanent as Aunt Marlene's recovery stretched from months into years. I promised her I'd be here as long as she needed me, I say, the words catching in my throat. And you were, Mom says, her voice softening into something more dangerous than anger. We all made sacrifices for Marlene. This family has always taken care of its own. She reaches for my hand across the table. Now it's time to take care of you. I pull my hand back. By marrying me off to a stranger? By securing your future, Mom corrects. After everything we've done for you. Everything you've done for me? The words burst out before I can stop them. Mallory jumps in. We kept a roof over your head when you came back with nothing. Dad and Mom rearranged their entire retirement plan for Aunt Marlene. And you. The familiar weight of family obligations settles on my shoulders. I turn away, opening my purse on the counter. My bank app glows on my phone screen. Available balance $732.18. There's nothing under $900 a month for rent in Meadowbrook, Mom says, reading my thoughts. Not in any neighborhood where you'd be safe. I close my eyes. She's right. I've checked. Without this marriage, you'll need to find somewhere else to live. Mom says, delivering the final blow with perfect calm. We've been patient, Claire, but it's time for you to stand on your own 2 feet. 2 weeks later, I stand in the county clerk's office. 15 guests, including the justice of the peace. No bridal shower, no celebration. My name misspelled as Clara on the hastily printed program. I pack my few belongings into 2 suitcases and a cardboard box. A framed photo of Aunt Marlene. 3 business suits that no longer fit the life I'm entering. The accounting award I received before everything changed. In the mirror, I catch a glimpse of my reflection. The gold band on my left hand catches the light, feeling heavier than its delicate width suggests. not a symbol of love but of surrender. A tear slides down my cheek as I close my childhood bedroom door for the last time. The gentle trap has sprung, and I've walked right into it. The 4-hour drive to Savannah stretches like a desert between us. Caleb keeps both hands on the wheel, his knuckles white against the black leather. I stare out the window, counting red barns and rusted tractors to keep my mind from circling back to the courthouse steps, to Mom's perfunctory hug and Mallory's satisfied smirk. "Would you like to stop for lunch?" Caleb's voice startles me after nearly 2 hours of silence. "No, thank you." The words stick in my throat, dry and hollow. When we finally cross into Georgia, the landscape shifts. Spanish moss drapes from ancient oaks like old women's hair. Savannah rises around us, elegant and worn at the edges, a city comfortable with its ghosts. Caleb turns onto a street lined with Victorian homes, their gingerbread trim and wide porches speaking of another time. He pulls into the driveway of a sage green house with white trim and stained glass panels flanking the front door. "This is it," he says, the first full sentence he's spoken since we left Mississippi. I follow him up the walkway, my suitcases bumping against my legs. The porch swing creaks in the afternoon breeze. A ceramic pot holds bright red geraniums, their petals impossibly vivid against the weathered boards. Caleb unlocks the door, stepping aside to let me enter first. The foyer opens to a living room with tall windows and original hardwood floors. Not opulent, but well-kept, comfortable. "I'll show you around," he says, leading me through the main floor. A formal dining room I can't imagine us using. A study with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. A kitchen with surprisingly high-end appliances. The massive Viking stove gleams like it belongs in a restaurant, not this modest home. We climb the staircase, its wooden banisters smooth under my palm. At the top, Caleb stops at the first door on the right. "This is your room." He pushes the door open, and I freeze in the doorway. The walls are painted a soft sage, lighter than the exterior. A queen-sized bed with what looks like brand new linens. A writing desk beneath the window. A reading chair in the corner with a small lamp. "Mine?" My voice sounds small. "Yes." Caleb shifts his weight. "The bathroom is through there. I'm down the hall if you need anything." I step into the room, expecting him to follow. He remains in the doorway. "This is your space," he says quietly. "Take all the time you need." The door clicks shut behind him. I stand in the center of the room, listening to his footsteps fade down the hallway. The silence that follows feels different from any silence I've known, expectant but not demanding. I sink onto the edge of the bed, running my fingers over the quilt. Not a wedding gift. Not something Mom picked out with tight-lipped disapproval. Just nice, normal. A place to sleep that belongs to me. My throat tightens. I blink hard, refusing to cry again today. The bathroom door stands ajar, revealing gleaming white tile. I push it open, finding towels folded on the counter, thick, plush, the color of sea glass. And next to them, a new bottle of rosemary mint shampoo. My brand, the one I used to splurge on before money got tight. I pick it up, unscrewing the cap to inhale the familiar scent. How did he know? That night, I lie awake listening to the unfamiliar creaks of this strange house, wondering what tomorrow will bring, what this marriage will demand of me. What Caleb Reynolds, me husband, a near stranger, expects. Morning comes with birdsong and the smell of coffee. I dress quickly, unsure of the protocol for breakfast with a man I barely know. The kitchen is empty, but a mug sits on the counter beside the coffee pot. A note leans against it, written in precise, angular handwriting. "Help yourself to anything in the kitchen. Back around 6. I pour coffee, adding cream from the refrigerator that's surprisingly well stocked. Next to my mug, a plate holds 2 blueberry muffins covered with plastic wrap. The house settles around me as I eat, no voices breaking the quiet. No Mallory asking how I plan to contribute today. No Mom's pointed comments about job applications or appropriate attire. Just space, room to breathe. Days pass in this strange, suspended state. Caleb leaves early each morning in crisply pressed shirts and tailored slacks, far nicer than what I'd expect for someone working at a local bank. He returns in the evenings, preparing simple meals that he serves without comment or criticism. We exchange polite questions about our days. He never asks why I spend most of my time in my room. never suggests I should be looking for work or keeping the house more thoroughly. A week into this peculiar arrangement, I venture into his study while he's gone. The desk is neat, empty except for a stack of architectural drawings partially hidden beneath a folder. I slide one out, revealing detailed plans for what looks like a corporate headquarters. In the corner, the name Whitfield Tower appears in elegant script. The next morning, curiosity drives me from bed earlier than usual. I hear Caleb moving downstairs, the front door opening and closing. Through my bedroom window, I watch him walk to the driveway where a new Lexus RX 350 has replaced the modest sedan we drove from Mississippi. That afternoon, the phone rings while I'm reading in the living room. I let it go to voicemail, but the caller's message plays loudly enough for me to hear. Mr. Whitfield will be in the meeting at 10. Please have the Anderson proposals ready for review. Mr. Whitfield? The following morning, I dress carefully in the most professional outfit I brought with me. I wait until Caleb leaves, then follow in the used Honda I'd purchased before losing my job. He drives toward downtown Savannah, the Lexus stopping before an imposing glass building that stretches skyward. I park across the street, watching as Caleb exits his car and walks toward the entrance. The security guard nods respectfully. Good morning, Mr. Whitfield. My husband, the bank employee, the modest homeowner, Caleb Reynolds smiles and disappears inside Whitfield Tower. That evening, I sit at the dining room table, a business magazine open before me. The article profiles Savannah's wealthiest families. Henry Whitfield stands proudly next to a younger man with familiar eyes and a reserved smile. The caption reads, Henry Whitfield and son Caleb prepare for Whitfield Enterprises expansion. I trace my finger over the photo, understanding blooming like a storm cloud. My new husband isn't Caleb Reynolds at all. I hear his key in the lock, his footsteps in the hallway. He stops when he sees me waiting, the magazine open between us. I cannot confront him yet, as I haven't figured out my family's plan yet. The gold-embossed invitation sits on the coffee table between us, catching morning light through the bay window. Mallory's name in fancy script, followed by Celebration of Professional Excellence. 120 guests at my parents' newly renovated, according to the flowing text. I've read it 7 times since yesterday's mail. You don't have to go, Caleb says, sliding a mug of coffee toward me. I wrap my fingers around the warm ceramic. Yes, I do. He sits across from me, his eyes concerned but not pitying. In the 3 months since our arrangement began, I've grown to appreciate that distinction. I'll drive you, he offers. Wait in the car if you want. I shake my head. This is something I need to face myself. The embroidery hoop sits in my lap, nearly finished. For weeks, I've worked on this piece for Meloria delicate pattern of dogwood blossoms, Mississippi's state flower, with her name and promotion date in elegant stitches. Aunt Marlene taught me this particular stitch when I was 12. My fingers move with muscle memory, pulling thread through fabric. It's beautiful, Caleb says. It's nothing, I reply too quickly. Then softer. Just something to keep my hands busy. But it isn't nothing. It's hours of careful work, a peace offering I'm not sure will be accepted. The next morning, I stand before the mirror in the guest bedroom. The navy blouse I'd initially selected lies discarded on the bed. Instead, I button a crisp white shirt over tailored gray slacks. Professional but understated. Nothing that can be criticized for trying too hard or not trying enough. I've learned the narrow path of acceptability in the Taylor household. My smile looks foreign in the mirror. I practice it again, lips curved upward, teeth showing just enough, eyes crinkling at the corners. Not too eager, not too reserved. Perfect. The 3-hour drive back to Mississippi stretches before me like an endurance test. I touch the gold band on my finger, turning it once, twice. Strange how this symbol of my surrender has become a talisman of courage. The familiar turns to my parents' driveway arrive too soon. New landscaping lines the approach, sculpted hedges and imported stones that weren't here 3 months ago. The house itself looks larger somehow, with fresh paint and expanded windows. Money has changed hands since I left. Mom opens the door before I can knock. Her light perfume Chanel. Always Chanel envelops me as she brushes her cheeks against mine. Not quite a kiss. Claire, she says, holding me at arm's length. Her eyes travel from my face to my shoes. You look, well, have you put on weight? Hello, Mom. I step past her into the foyer, clutching my embroidery gift wrapped in simple brown paper. The house hums with activity. Caterers move efficiently through rooms that have been transformed. The walls between the living room and dining room are gone, creating an open space filled with flowers and rented furniture. Crystal glasses catch light from new chandeliers. Mallory spots me from across the room. Her cream-colored dress probably costs more than my monthly living expenses. She glides over, champagne flute in hand. You made it, she says with raised eyebrows. You look rested. I hold out my package. Congratulations on your promotion. She takes it with 2 fingers as if it might soil her manicure. Oh, thank you. I'll put it with the others. I watch as she places my handmade gift carelessly on a table piled with wrapped packages in designer paper with elaborate bows. A cousin I barely recognize approaches Mallory, air-kissing both cheeks. Your dress is divine. Valentino? Naturally, Mallory laughs. The cousin's eyes slide toward me. And Claire, we heard you married that Reynolds boy. Her voice drops to a stage whisper. Such a pragmatic choice. I excuse myself, moving toward the kitchen. The house layout has changed, but I know where to find temporary solitude. The kitchen has always been staff territory during parties, not family space. I push through the swinging door, grateful for the relative quiet. Leaning against a counter, I close my eyes for just a moment. Voices drift in from the adjacent room, Mom's sunroom. If the renovation kept it where it used to be, the door must be ajar. Claire was always the disappointment, Mom's voice clear as crystal. Robert and I tried everything. Some children simply lack ambition. Or talent, Mallory adds with a laugh that slices through me. She's just a charity case. Caleb will tire of her soon enough. A man's voice, Dad murmurs something indistinct. Exactly, Mom responds. We did her a favor. She belongs at the bottom. My hand grips the counter edge, knuckles white. The kitchen spins slightly, and I focus on the tile pattern until it steadies. They've always whispered these things about me, but hearing the words spoken so plainly, without the veneer of concern they normally paint over their contempt, it stops my breath. In this moment, family history rewrites itself in my mind. The opportunities they created for me, the support they provided, the concern about my choices. All of it suddenly clear for what it was, control wrapped in the language of love. I straighten my back. My hand finds the wedding ring again, but this time I don't turn it for comfort. Instead, I slip quietly back through the kitchen, past clusters of guests I barely know, toward the entry table where my purse waits. On my way, I pass the gift table. Without breaking stride, I reach out and retrieve my brown paper package. Not this time. I won't leave pieces of myself behind for them to discard. No one notices as I slip out the front door. No dramatic exit, no confrontation. Just quiet steps down the new stone pathway. In my car, I send a single text to Caleb, coming home early. The highway stretches before me, an invitation to distance. Tears finally spill free, blurring the road signs until I pull over at a rest stop. I sit with my hands gripping the steering wheel, shoulders shaking with sobs that have waited years for release. When the tears subside, I notice my reflection in the rearview mirror, red-eyed and blotchy, but somehow more myself than the carefully composed woman who arrived hours earlier. Back on the road, each mile marker puts distance between me and Meadowbrook. The pain doesn't lessen, but something else grows alongside it. With every passing mile, the resolve strengthens in my chest. They said I belong at the bottom. I touch my wedding ring, but the meaning has shifted yet again. Not a trap, not even a talisman now. A choice I can unmake. The highway signs for Savannah appear as the sun begins to set. I'm going home, but not to them. Not ever again. The porch light glows amber against the twilight as I pull into the driveway. My knuckles ache from gripping the steering wheel during the 3-hour drive from Mississippi. Inside, a lamp casts a warm circle in the living room. Caleb sits in the wingback chair, two steaming mugs on the side table beside him. You're back early. His voice carries no judgment, just quiet observation. I drop my purse on the entryway table. The weight of my family's words presses against my chest, making each breath shallow. They never wanted me to succeed. Caleb rises, offers me the blue ceramic mug, Earl Grey with a splash of milk, exactly how I take it. Tell me. The tea warms my hands as I sink into the sofa. They talked about me like I was a burden they'd finally offloaded. My mother said I was always the disappointment. My voice cracks. Mallory laughed about it, said I belonged at the bottom. Caleb sits across from me, his expression unreadable. I'm sorry they hurt you. The strangest part? Coming back here felt like? I pause, surprised by the truth forming on my tongue. Like coming home. This place, not theirs. Something shifts in Caleb's face. He sets his mug down, clasps his hands between his knees. There's something I need to tell you. The familiar sensation of dread coils in my stomach. More secrets, Mr. Whitfield? He winces at the name. My family owns Whitfield Enterprises. We're not just connected to it. My father is Henry Whitfield. The Henry Whitfield? The development magnate? The pieces click together with sickening clarity. That's why you've been pretending to be Caleb Reynolds. I haven't been pretending, he says firmly. Reynolds is my middle name. I've used it before when I wanted to live without the Whitfield shadow. I stand, needing movement to process this. Why me then? Why this whole charade? Caleb's gaze drops to the floor. Your father approached mine at a business function, suggested an arrangement that would benefit both families. The room tilts slightly. An arrangement. A marriage. Between the daughter of Robert Taylor and the heir to Whitfield Enterprises. His voice sounds hollow. Our fathers negotiated terms over golf. My throat tightens. Terms. Financial considerations. Business opportunities. Caleb meets my eyes. I didn't know until after the wedding. My father said I needed to settle down, suggested I meet a suitable young woman. He arranged everything. I press my fingertips against my temples, connecting invisible dots. The church building fund, my father's pet project, suddenly fully funded last month. Yes. And Mom's new Lexus, identical to yours. Caleb nods. Mallory's promotion at Carson Development. A Whitfield subsidiary, isn't it? It is. Laughter bubbles up from my chest, sharp and bitter. They sold me. Their disappointing daughter, the one who belongs at the bottom. They sold me to the Whitfields. Claire. And you bought me. The words taste metallic. Caleb stands, keeps his distance. I agreed to meet you. The rest happened because I chose it. Why? What could possibly make marrying a stranger worthwhile? Freedom from my father's other plans. His honesty surprises me, but that's not why I'm telling you this now. I cross my arms. Then why? Because I want you to stay. Not as an obligation, as a partner. He takes one step toward me, stops. I'll support whatever dreams you have, no conditions. School, career, anything. Another trap with prettier bars. My voice sounds cold even to my own ears. Caleb walks to his desk, retrieves a folded paper, and places it on the coffee table. My termination letter from the accounting firm. I found this when unpacking your things. What did you love about your work? The question catches me off guard. What? Your work in Atlanta. What did you love about it? The order of it? I answer automatically. The clarity. Helping people understand their finances. I pause, remembering. Solving problems. Making complex things simple. Is accounting what you want to return to? The question hangs in the air, unexpected in its openness. For the first time in years, someone is asking what I want, not telling me what I should do. No, I whisper, then stronger. No, I want something different. When I cared for Aunt Marlene, I found something I never felt in accounting. What was that? Purpose, connection. The truth flows easier now. I've been thinking about nursing school. Caleb nods. Savannah Technical College has an excellent program. I won't be anyone's bargaining chip, I say, the anger returning. Not yours, not my family's. I understand. He stands, moves toward the hallway. Your room is yours for as long as you want it. No expectations. The rest is up to you. That night, I sit cross-legged on my bed with my laptop, researching nursing programs. The Savannah Tech website glows on the screen. Application deadlines, prerequisites, tuition costs. My fingers hover over the keyboard as I calculate the numbers. For the first time in months, sleep comes easily, deep and dreamless. Morning brings clear skies and cool air. I cradle my coffee on the porch swing, watching sunrise paint the sky coral and gold. Caleb appears with his own mug, pauses at the door. May I join you? I nod, shifting to make room. I made an appointment at Coastal Bank today, I tell him. I'm opening my own account. He sips his coffee. Good. And I'm applying for the fall nursing program. Also good. I pull an envelope from my pocket. This is for my family. I'd appreciate if you'd mail it for me. Inside, the misspelled wedding program with 3 words written on it. My name is Claire. The swing creaks gently as we sit in silence, watching the neighborhood come alive. For the first time since Atlanta, contentment settles over me like the morning sun, cautious but warming. Next week, the nursing classroom buzzes with activity as I slip into an empty seat in the 3rd row. 28 students, most older than typical college age, shuffle papers and compare syllabi. Professor Wilson, a woman with silver-streaked black hair and rectangular glasses, arranges her materials at the podium. My heart pounds against my ribs as she calls the class to order. Welcome to Fundamentals of Nursing at Savannah Technical College, she says. Before we dive into the curriculum, I'd like us to introduce ourselves. Tell us your name and why you've chosen nursing as your path. One by one, students rise. A former teacher who wants more hands-on care work. A retired military medic translating his skills to civilian life. A single father seeking stable income for his family. When my turn comes, I stand on wobbly legs. The room shrinks to a pinpoint of focus. I'm Claire Taylor, I say, my voice steadier than I expect, and I'm starting over. Professor Wilson tilts her head slightly, studying me with sharp blue eyes. Sometimes those who start over bring the richest perspective to nursing. Welcome, Claire. The simple acknowledgement sends warmth spreading through my chest. No one has looked at me like that, like I might have something valuable to offer in years. Later that afternoon, I sort through textbooks at our kitchen table when Caleb arrives home. He loosens his tie and drops his keys in the ceramic bowl by the door, a routine we've developed over the past few weeks. How was the first day? He asks, filling a glass with water from the refrigerator door. Words spill out of me's diverse class, the clinical rotation schedule, Professor Wilson's practical approach. Caleb listens without interruption, nodding occasionally, his eyes never leaving my face. You're glowing, he says when I finally pause for breath. I touch my cheek, surprised to find it warm. It feels right, like I should have done this years ago. Better now than never at all, he says, then adds, I picked up ingredients for pasta. Thought we could celebrate your first day. That night begins a new ritual, sharing our days over dinner, Caleb's architectural challenges and my nursing studies creating a bridge between our separate worlds. 3 weeks later, 5 of us huddle around my kitchen table surrounded by anatomy flashcards and half-empty coffee mugs. Darlene, a former postal worker with 3 grown children, quizzes Eduardo on medical terminology, while Leslie and Mark debate treatment protocols. You have the perfect study space, Leslie says, stretching her arms overhead. Quiet neighborhood, great lighting, and a kitchen stocked with snacks. Speaking of which, Caleb says, appearing from his home office with a plate of sliced fruit and cheese, brain food for the future healthcare professionals. My classmates thank him as he sets down the plate and retreats, giving us space without making himself scarce. I watch him go, still marveling at how he provides support without interference. During our next study session, a week later, Professor Wilson pulls me aside after we review a particularly difficult case study. Your analysis showed exceptional insight, Claire, she says. You have a natural ability to connect symptoms with underlying causes. Have you considered specializing in diagnostics after graduation? The compliment catches me off guard. I haven't thought that far ahead, I admit. You should, she says firmly. Talent like yours shouldn't be wasted. Talent. The word echoes in my mind throughout the evening. Not usefulness, not obligation, talent. The next morning, my phone vibrates with the 5th voicemail from my mother in 3 days. Claire, we're concerned about you. Gloria's voice rings with the familiar note of disapproval. This nursing school nonsense is beneath someone married to a Reynolds. Call me back immediately. I delete the message without returning the call. 2 days later, a knock at our door interrupts my study session. Mallory stands on our porch, her eyebrows rising as she takes in my sweatpants and oversized Savannah Tech t-shirt. This is unexpected, I say, not inviting her inside. I was in the area for business, she says, peering past me into the house. May I come in? I hesitate before stepping aside. Mallory surveys our living room with calculating eyes. Quaint, she says, fingering the edge of a textbook. Mother says you haven't been returning her calls. I've been busy with school. School. She says the word like it tastes bad. Claire, be reasonable. You're married to a Reynolds. There's no need for you to work, let alone study something as hands-on as nursing. I enjoy it, I say simply. Her focus sharpens. Have you met Caleb's family yet? The Reynolds have connections that could benefit us all. The familiar pattern clicks into place my family's endless calculations of advantage. Mallory, I say, my voice calm but firm, my education and my marriage are not family resources to be leveraged. She blinks rapidly, as if I've spoken in a foreign language. Since when do you talk like that? Since I remembered I'm allowed to have boundaries. Her mouth opens and closes before she recovers. Mother won't be pleased. I'm not living my life to please Mother anymore. After she leaves, I lean against the closed door, surprised not by the confrontation but by the steady calm I maintained throughout it. That evening, I tell Caleb about Mallory's visit while we prepare dinner together. They'll keep trying, he says, chopping bell peppers. My father was the same way until I made it clear I wouldn't be manipulated. How did you do that? I ask. He smiles. I'll show you my plans tomorrow. I've been working on something I think you'll appreciate. The next morning, Caleb spreads architectural drawings across our dining table designs for affordable housing with accessible features for elderly and disabled residents. My father wants luxury condominiums, he explains, but I see a different future for Whitfield Enterprises. As he outlines his vision, I recognize the quiet revolution in his words, the same one taking root in my own heart. 2 years later, the cream-colored graduation cap sits oddly on my head as I smooth my crisp nursing scrubs. 2 years of early mornings, late nights, and more coffee than any human should consume have led to this moment. I scan the auditorium, finding Caleb's face among the crowd. He beams at me, pride radiating from him like sunlight. Claire Elizabeth Taylor, Dean Harmon announces. My legs carry me across the stage with a confidence I never possessed in my family's home. As the dean places the nursing pin on my lapel, I glimpse my reflection in her glass smiling, standing tall, eyes clear. I accept my diploma with honors, the weight of the achievement settling in my chest like a warm stone. Later, at the small celebration Caleb arranged at our favorite cafe, I'm surrounded by genuine friendspeople who know me, not as a disappointment or a charity case, but as myself. To Claire, says Meredith, raising her glass. We bonded during our first anatomy lab when we both nearly fainted, the woman who explained electrolytes to me 16 different ways until it finally stuck. Everyone laughs. I tuck the memory away, a treasure to revisit on harder days. When Caleb slides an envelope across the table, I raise an eyebrow. What's this? Open it, he says, his voice soft. My fingers tremble slightly as I break the seal. The hospital letterhead catches the light. Trauma unit? I whisper, reading further. They accepted me? Caleb reaches for my hand. Of course they did. I remember the countless hours studying, the volunteer shifts, the extra certifications. The joy bubbling through me now feels earned, authentic, nothing like the hollow praise my family once parceled out for conforming to their expectations. 2 weeks later, I stand beside Mrs. Eleanor Jenkins's bed, adjusting her IV line. Her silver hair and sharp blue eyes remind me so much of Aunt Marlene that my heart constricts. You have gentle hands, Mrs. Jenkins says, her Georgia accent thick as honey. My last nurse jabbed me like she was harpooning a whale. I laugh, checking her vitals. I had a good teacher. My aunt taught me that care isn't just about doing things right, it's about doing them with respect. Mrs. Jenkins nods, her eyes drifting closed. I tuck her blanket around her feet the way Aunt Marlene always preferred, from the bottom corners first. You're a natural at this, Dr. Reeves says, appearing at my shoulder to review the chart. Some people take years to develop that balance of efficiency and compassion. I found where I belong, I say simply. During my break, I call Caleb. When he answers, I don't waste time with preliminaries. Mrs. Jenkins is responding to the new medication. Her daughter cried when I told her. That's wonderful, Claire, he says, understanding what I'm really saying, that today, I made a difference. Last month, a mutual acquaintance mentioned Mallory's divorce. Mom sent a Christmas card to our old address. I slid both pieces of information into a mental file labeled, "Not my problem," a boundary that would have been unthinkable 3 years ago. The scholarship fund sits open on my laptop when I return home. The Marlene Taylor Education Fund for Second Chance, small but growing. The first recipient starts nursing classes next semester, a woman with 3 children who cared for her father through terminal cancer. That evening, Caleb and I sit on the porch swing, watching fireflies appear in the gathering dusk. I've been thinking, he says, thumb tracing circles on my palm, about renewing our vows. I turn to study his face. Do you regret how we started? Never, he says firmly. But I'd like us to choose each other this time, officially. The idea settles into me, fitting perfectly. I'd like that. Let's write our own vows this time. Later, standing in our garden as sunset paints the sky coral and gold, I look at our home built on truth rather than obligation. The air smells of jasmine and possibility. I found my way, Aunt Marlene, I whisper. What part of your story are you ready to reclaim? Sometimes the quietest revolutions create the most lasting change.